Peace, everybody. Welcome to Capital of Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
DeGale-Dirrell.
And today we're going to recap this past weekend's and Andre DeGale. I keep always saying Anthony. It's Andre versus what's my man, James DeGale. And then we're going to preview this weekend's two bouts. We've got a showcase fight with Amir Khan versus Khan-Algieri. Then we've got Kell Brook defending his IBF welterweight title against Brook-Gavin. Now that card from top to bottom is pretty good. Unfortunately, here in the States, we won't get to see it televised unless you got some online streaming going on, and you can find out how to do that. But on Friday night, the Khan-Algieri fight is on Spike TV. Now let's go into the recap of last Saturday's PBC action on NBC, which had Andre DeGale against James DeGale for a title that Carl Froch vacated. It's one of the many super middleweight belts that I can't remember. There's like 4 WBO champs in the it's 4 WBA champs at super middleweight. I don't get how that works.
It gets confusing.
Yeah, it makes no sense how they can have 4 belts for one sanctioning body in one division.
Actually, look at the WBA champs and you will get even further confused.
Yeah.
For each division.
Actually, don't do it because it's just mind-boggling. It might make you upset.
Well, it'll make you upset, but you can see the, I want to say politics, but I think it even gets worse than that.
Yeah, they just, yeah, it's terrible. Anyway, let's talk about the fight. Now, if you watched our pre-fight video, which you can find down in the description section, we said that DeGale would start fast, fade late, and then have to stave off a rally from DeGale later on. We kind of got the opposite.
Well, there was a wrench thrown in there by the way of a knockdown in the second round.
A couple of knockdowns.
Yeah.
Andre DeGale, he came out, he won the first round. He seemed to have the faster hands, the straighter punches, but he was showing some flaws. Whereas, like we said in the pre-fight video, he doesn't use his hands and body movement to block punches. He tries to move out the way of them. And in this fight, it bit him in the butt because DeGale followed him, hit him with some looping left hands, and down went DeGale. And from that point, DeGale took control of the fight, and then maybe about the 7th round or so, he just went into coast mode and let DeGale back into the fight and had to stage a late rally to become the first British gold medalist to win a world title. That's kind of amazing. Like, they have a lot of great fighters from that part of the world, or that country, I should say. And him being the first gold medalist and world champion it's kind of mind-boggling because they've had, like I said, they've got some great fighters over there. They've had some great medalists. They've had some great champions. But DeGale is the first to have both at the same time.
That's right.
So congratulations to him. Let's break down the fight just a tad bit more before we move on to the other 2 cards. Like I said, that looping left hand was there all night for DeGale because of the way DeGale moved. The DeGale jab was very good. It kept DeGale at bay a lot of times. It's just he didn't work enough off of it and take advantage of a lot of counter-punching opportunities, probably because DeGale hit him with something that made him a little worrisome about being in there and trading with him. Who knows? Those wide shots that DeGale threw could have been countered by DeGale, but he more so wanted to get out of there. And that's kind of what lost him the fight. Not kind of, that is what lost him the fight. 2 knockdowns and letting DeGale hit him on the way out, because that's how he won the 2nd, 3rd, probably 4th and 5th round. And then by winning the 2nd round by 2 points, 2 extra points for the 2 knockdowns, it put DeGale in a big hole that he almost was able to climb out of. What you got?
Well, I'm just looking at the fight again. DeGale did start out fast, but what I thought he would do, what we thought he would do, was kind of use his feet a little bit more and work from the outside. He actually, I don't want to say he walked him down, but he was constantly moving forward using that jab. And you could see in the first, even after the second round, after those knockdowns, you could see DeGale's eye, I mean, not DeGale, DeGale's eye, like, red, and I think he eventually opened the cut.
Yeah, that was in the second round, right before the knockdown.
So he was actually landing and winning that fight up until that point. But, and this is a lesson to anyone that's getting in the ring, do not back straight up when avoiding a punch.
Yep.
Unless, and the problem with that is, one, you can misjudge the distance, especially with a guy like DeGale, who did a great job of stepping in with his punches. And I'm not just talking about, everyone takes that step with the jab, I'm talking about stepping into DeGale's wheelhouse with that jab, and he has very long arms. Again, misjudging. But moving straight back with your hands down, because one, again, you misjudge the distance of the punch. Two, you really don't know, unless you're very aware, you don't know if the ropes are behind you. And DeGale got caught on those ropes as he was going back.
Also, when you're leaning back like that, you're off balance. You're off balance. You can't take a punch as well as you are when you are on balance. Case in point, Anderson Silva when he got knocked out by Chris Weidman. Roy Jones when he got knocked out by Antonio Tarver. All those guys were leaning back when they got caught with that punch. There's a plethora of other guys that I can name that have been caught like that, but we'll just stick with those because those are the most recent ones I can think of, or the most famous ones.
Yeah, famous or notable ones.
Right.
Now, what I did see was that, and it reflects in the scores of the 114 to 112.
Yes.
The two scores, which plausible. It could have been a draw. You could have made an argument for DeGale outside of those two knockdowns, and you at 114, 112 for DeGale. Definitely, I can agree with it. I had no problem. The 117 to 109, complete BS. That came from the Canadian judge. No one should have been okay with that one.
Yeah, that fight was nowhere near that wide for him to win 9 rounds. But, you know, I guess that's what he saw, whatever.
But, again, what I saw, DeGale stepped into his wheelhouse. He had confidence to the point where he was a lot of movement, hands were down. He had great timing when going after DeGale. After that knockdown, DeGale survived. He made it to the end of the second round. In the third, he was still recovering. By the fourth, you could see he started to get those bearings back. I think DeGale stole that round at the end of the round because he was starting to snap that jab. He was starting to get a little bit more movement and power, but he did get caught with some punches at the end of the round, which I would have given to DeGale because they were the most impactful punches of that round. At that point, DeGale, when he wanted to, when he really snapped that jab, was matching DeGale's in speed. I think he had the power advantage, but again, I would have given 3, 4 is debatable, 5 and 6 to DeGale. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's
5 rounds right there.
5 rounds right there. Then you had to put 2 up, so he had a wide lead. This is just on my scorecard. But from 7, you could see the sense of urgency from DeGale, and I don't know if DeGale was trying to catch his breath or he thought he was winning so big that DeGale couldn't come back. But DeGale started, again, putting the pressure on him, being a little bit more cognizant. He was still moving back, trying to avoid punches, but you could see he had greater defensive success when DeGale threw those stupid shots. Instead of going back, he ducked under them.
Exactly.
And I did see that a lot, and I wish he would have done more in trying to avoid those punches, but then he just went for broke. Once he had it against the ropes, he threw punches. He may have thrown 10, landed 3, but not only with those punches that landed between the high guard of DeGale, this is going to be like this the whole video. That high guard of DeGale, he still was able to punch through that. I would have loved to see him throw the uppercut while they had him against the ropes, or target the body a little bit more. But it looks good to the judges when you see that effective pressure, because you can see that DeGale was comfortable, that Dirrell was starting to gain confidence and start landing more punches. Now that brings us to 11, the championships round, 11 and 12. Both debatable. They could have went either way. I would have given 11 to Dirrell and 12 to DeGale.
Yeah, I think I went the opposite way. I gave 11 to DeGale and 12 to Dirrell. So like you said, those are two close rounds. Either way, I had the fight even with the two knockdowns, the 114, 112 score. So what's next for DeGale? We really don't know. The super middleweight division is kind of in limbo. The champ Andre Ward is fighting at 172 in his next fight. I don't know if he's going to go up to 175 or if he's going to come back down.
Well, that's against Paul Smith. He said he was testing the waters at a higher weight, 172. I mean, a catch weight. I understand why, because he's been 168 for his entire career, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he started at 160.
160.
But, you know, he's not, he is a big guy, but he's not as big as people think he is.
Yeah.
But he hasn't fought in over a year. It's been like a year and a half since he's fought. He doesn't want to kill himself completely to get down to that weight. So maybe he wants to slowly make it down there, or maybe he's thinking about moving up. We don't know.
But Groves is trying to make a fight with Jack, Badu Jack.
That's actually been made.
Okay, so that's been made. I know DeGale wants to fight Froch, but I think
Froch, they're now starting to talk about Froch and Triple G. I doubt that really comes to fruition.
But who knows? I mean,
yeah, who knows?
Because that fight would make money in England, or that fight would make money if they did it in Jersey, the Jersey area where they've done a lot of Golovkin's fights.
Yeah, Froch really wants that Vegas fight, and so I don't know. Like, I think he's been saying that that's what he wants to do, is like fight in Vegas, and that's it. So we'll see what happens.
But I mean, Andre Ward is at the top of the mountain. There are guys for him to fight in that division. One being the winner of Jack or Groves or DeGale. I think Froch is out. Golovkin may again try to move up, whether it's to fight Ward or Froch. They're building guys up like Gilberto Ramirez, Callum Smith, and there's someone else at. I mean, you can even throw Jalen up. It's guys to fight that's moving up. Yeah. But it's going to be interesting to see what DeGale does and what Dirrell does from here to try to get back into contention.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next fight, which is Amir Khan and Khan-Algieri. Now, let's ask you guys a question. Who thinks Khan-Algieri has a chance to win this fight?
Put your comments below, and we will answer them.
Yeah. Because I want to know how you think he will win this fight. Like, from the moment this fight was made, everybody was like, what the hell? Why are you taking this fight? Hopefully, like, this has showcase written all over it. Khan-Algieri is a capable boxer. He has good foot movement. He does not take his feet with him when he punches, which is a big problem.
Yeah, he leans over when he throws his, especially the power punches.
So against someone like Amir Khan, who you have to hurt, I don't really see him doing much in this fight. It probably won't be the most aesthetically pleasing fight either, given Amir Khan's new penchant for grabbing and roughhousing that he likes to do when people get too close to him. And Algieri tends to move frequently, not frequently all the time. People might not be too excited about this fight.
Yeah, especially with the beating that Khan-Algieri took, and the fact that, I mean, there were other fighters. They said the fights fell through for whatever reason, but I mean, Timothy Bradley, Keith Thurman.
There's a ton of welterweights out there.
I mean, and then to me, just straight up ignoring any kind of fight with Kell Brook.
Yeah, we don't know what he's thinking about that.
That is at least 80,000 at Wembley Stadium. I'm just gonna throw that out there. If you got any British fans, you can tell me differently.
No, you're right. They want that fight. Everybody wants that fight except for Amir Khan, and we don't know why. But after he wins this fight, which he will, barring, this is boxing, anything can happen. But 9 times out of 10, 9.99 times out of 10, he's going to win this fight. And then we can figure out what he's going to do from there. He's really trying to get that Mayweather fight. And he's doing all the wrong things to get it. He's been doing that for the last 2-3 years. And he just doesn't get it back. But we'll see what happens.
Now, just looking at this fight, Amir Khan, we know he has the power advantage, the speed advantage, the athleticism advantage,
The size advantage.
The size advantage. Well, weight-wise, the coaching advantage, because he's still with
Virtual Hunter.
Yes. So we know those are his advantages. Now, Algieri, I think he uses his feet better as far as defensively. Yes, doesn't really have great defensive instincts, but the same can be said with Khan because his fast hands and his offense are more so his defense. Algieri has a longer reach. Algieri is the taller fighter, but unfortunately he really doesn't fight to those advantages.
No.
To beat Amir Khan, he's going to have to determine whether it's through timing, which I don't know if he has great enough timing because of, you could tell that with the Manny Pacquiao fight, or hitting him with something that Khan failed. Now we know he doesn't have the greatest chin, but I don't think Algieri is going to hit him with anything to deter him unless he just hits him with something he really doesn't see coming, like Breeze Prescott did. And we know that was
Breeze Prescott kind of steamrolled him. Danny Garcia hit him with something.
Yeah, Danny Garcia. But we know he doesn't have that power, and he doesn't sit on his punches.
No, he's already out trying to get around to the other side of the ring before he's even finished throwing his punches. So that point right there is probably, I doubt he'll hit it, Amir Khan, with anything of any consequence. He does have a good chin though. Taking 6 knockdowns from Manny Pacquiao and surviving is no small feat. He was knocked down twice versus Ruslan Provodnikov, beat him with one eye. So, that fight was debatable, but he did come out the victor. And this guy, he has heart. He is a warrior. Unfortunately, we just think he's outgunned in this one.
Again, unless his trainers come up with something, like I said, timing and using your feet, because we know Amir Khan footwork has gotten better, but his hands go before his feet when he explodes.
Just like Chris Algieri.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot more power when he does it.
And explosiveness.
Yeah. So on the undercard, we got Brian Vasquez and Javier Fortuna. I've seen Fortuna knock quite a few people out. I've seen Vasquez, but not enough to actually remember him. So I'll be watching that fight just, as a fan to enjoy it.
Lower weight fight, we know that can have some exciting fights. We saw Chocolatito versus Edgar Sosa. So I don't know about anyone else. Maybe the casual fan doesn't really appreciate them, but I like to see those lower fights because those guys, they're going to bring a lot of speed for there. They're going to bring some explosiveness, and they want to have a good showing.
Yeah, this one's at 126, I believe. It's featherweight, still small guys. But like Rob said, they usually put on a great show. So you want to check that one out.
Don't ignore them.
And for the last fight over in England, we got Kell Brook and Frankie Gavin. Now Frankie Gavin is a Olympic gold medalist. Pretty decent fighter. But I don't think he has enough to overtake Kell Brook. Because of his style, he's more of a counterpuncher. He likes to set traps. He's a southpaw. So he's pretty awkward, but he does have good timing, and he does have a pretty decent punch selection. But he's also like an inch taller than Kell Brook, but he fights in a crouched position, which kind of negates all that.
And his only loss came to Leonard Boondu, and if you remember Boondu, he gave Keith Thurman, to me, a good fight. Even though he's slower, he's the older fighter, he's also a shorter fighter, so his whole style could have played into Leonard Boondu's style, which him being much shorter than Gavin. So, that remains to be seen. Kell Brook, more athletic, definitely a stronger puncher, very good timing, especially with his jab and his
Straight right.
Straight right, his 1-2 combination. So it'll be interesting to see if he can throw his right hand over the top of Gavin's jab to the body. Because we saw that I was watching his fight he won against Bradley Skeet, and Skeet was able to land a counter right when going to the body or trying to jab in from that low position.
Yeah, and the size difference will probably be noticeable as well.
Not height.
Yeah, they're about the same height, but Kell Brook just looks like a very, very big welterweight. This guy's probably going to be fighting at 154 in the next 2-3 years.
I would love to see him fight Keith Thurman, but that's me.
Yeah. He should win this fight. He may even... Gavin's only been down once, and that was Babundu from a body shot. Kell Brook really doesn't work the body too much. He is a sharp head hunter, though. So maybe an accumulation of punches, late fight knockdown for Brook. I think Gavin sees the final bell because he is pretty crafty. He has holes in his defense, but we'll see if Kell Brook can exploit those holes. I'm going Kell Brook unanimous decision.
Yeah, same here. But I expect Gavin to give him definitely some trouble with his style and his timing.
Yeah, early trouble. Brook figures him out, gets a decision. And on that undercard, we got Radovich and Lee Selby.
Jorge Linares versus Kevin Mitchell.
Yep. Yeah, Anthony Joshua fighting Kevin Johnson,
which is a big step up.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good card. I'm not sure what they actually will have televised because, like I said, it's not over here in the States. We'll have to go to the legal internet streams and say it out loud. But I'm excited to see that card. I'm going to find some way to watch it.
I may not be able to catch it the day of, but I'm going to try to find some video that shows that fight somewhere. I mean, YouTube is your friend.
That's right. So that's it for this episode, guys. Hope you enjoy it. Make sure you comment below, especially if you think Khan-Algieri will win and how he's going to win. We want to know. If you guys got any questions, you can hit us up for our combat mailbag. You can follow us on Facebook, CapitalofCombat, Google+, same name. You can hit us up on our email, capitalofcombat@gmail.com. Either way, we'll get back to you. We love to share with you. Make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick crime, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.